Thank you,
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have a conversation today, and obviously we're here to talk about consumer engagement, and this is under the umbrella of Brand Innovators, and I'm really excited that Saverio is here to have a conversation about that, because when we're talking about consumer engagement, we're really talking about how to keep up with consumers in this day and an age where it's less about any one particular thing and more about understanding the culture and understanding our consumers better, which requires us to kind of connect with them with every interaction. Engaging them and anticipating their next move is really, really crucial. We have to do this across digital channels, physical channels. I see my background's like moving kind of crazy here. Retail, commerce, across device, so it's this really complex ecosystem. It's a complex task for sure. And with all that, we have to maintain this human to human connection that's incredibly important. And we need to make sure that we're just adding value beyond just a regular transactional relationship, because that is the culture today. If you're looking at an Amazon, if you're looking at a Nike, if you're looking at Apple, there's a brand halo because there's experience baked in and customer engagement baked in. So again, I'm really excited to introduce Saverio Suraci to Brand Innovators. And I think my first question, Saverio, you've worked at Luxottica Group in Italy and Italy here in the States before landing at Ferrero as a senior director for Fannie Mae. For those of you who are not aware, Fannie Mae is a premium chocolate brand here in the United States. It's actually the fastest growing premium chocolate brand.
Exactly.
And so you have, experience that spans retail, commerce, and digital.
Yeah.
My first question is what was your journey like to get to this point? I'd love to learn more about that. And then how has it helped you understand consumers better?
Yes, thanks, Leo. And it's a fascinating journey, I will say. And my entire career has been grounded into direct contact with the consumer, right? Starting with Luxottica and different retail brands like Sunglass Hut and Oakley, then moving into Italy, this beautiful food ecosystem that brings everything about Italian food to the consumer, and then now with Ferrero. My entire journey has been around being in the store with the consumer, interacting with the consumer. You mentioned a couple of brands such Amazon, Apple, and I think not by chance, because those are brands that started more in an e-commerce environment, but they understand the importance of the direct contact and the experience of the brand in a brick and mortar physical store. And so for that reason, you see them looking into the expansion also in that area. So the entire ecosystem of connection with the consumer through their entire journey is an element that I think has been a key common denominator in my career so far, and I'm excited, in fact, to bring this expertise also within the Ferrero organization. Fannie Mae is, in fact, the only brand in the Ferrero organization that has physical stores. If someone in the audience is from Chicago, they know exactly what I'm talking about, and so. This component is it's something that is very close to the brand as well, and to the common goal of interacting with the final consumer on the different touch points.
Yeah, I really like that direct connection between the digital and the physical. And I think it's really interesting that you started in a physical store.
Yeah.
So you were able to read the cues of every customer that comes in the door and really understand them. And that direct human connection, it seems like it's really important to you. And it probably is crucial to your path in your career. I'm curious to know a little bit more about that. Like what about this direct human connection? What does this mean for consumer engagement at Ferrero?
Yeah.
And when you think about that, what comes to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ferrero in general, it's a group that is obsessed with two things, I will say. One is the quality of the products, because there is an obsession in looking for what is the next thing that is bringing high quality to the consumption habit of our final consumer. But the other component I think that is super important is being capable of observing customer interacting with our product and learning from that everyday interaction, right? So data is important about the consumer, obviously. But I tend and I'm a firm believer of the opportunity of observing customer interacting with the product more than asking them necessarily opinion in general about the product itself. So that is the journey at Ferrero, right? And that constant engagement with the final consumer at the point of sales through the different platform and is helping us crafting also strategies from a marketing perspective that needs to differentiate from country to country. Ferrero is, as you know, an Italian company born and raised in Italy. Very, very.
I may be biased.
Very rooted in the history of how consumers have been interacting with the specific product. You think about Nutella, you think about Ferrero Rocher, you think about Kinder in general. How the product, how the consumer has been interacting with this product back in Europe, where everything started, and the focus and obsession was, of course, on European consumer. And the beauty of the journey is also how this company has been capable of fine-tuning the product offer in the United States, for example, by listening to the consumer. I think the journey with Nutella is the most exciting in understanding how the American consumer are interacting with such a beloved brand back in Italy and in Europe, and give it a spin in the way the product is used here in the United States. I think the Americans are loving Nutella at breakfast right now, and it's something that we have learned as a company as well, going into this trajectory of listening to the consumer and understanding what they're looking for. So, it's a combination of being there, being present, listening to your final consumer, understanding what they're going after, how they really interact with your product. You may start with an idea of your product that is rooted into what you have done with research and data insights, but then when you put it in front of the consumer, you understand that they maybe have a different spin on the use of that, and you can learn more usage occasion are possible because your consumer are telling you so.
So, listening in store and observing, of course, and it sounds like, through this listening, data and insights are incredibly, incredibly important. So can you talk a little bit more tactically about how you infuse data into your practices, whether it's Fannie Mae or Ferrero, and how that kind of fits into your concept of consumer engagement?
Yes, absolutely. So syndicated data, every one of us, I think, working in the industry is receiving different input from the different platforms that we use, right? And those are very important. Consumption data, trend, consumer trend. Obviously, it's super important for you also to go after the consumer journey, being very attached to that. So those are elements that needs to be obviously part of the everyday activity in managing the different brands. It's clearly important that we give data the right role, but we don't die by, being overwhelmed by the amount of data that can be out there, right? That can tell us and drive us into different insights and perspectives. So even by doing market research, I think my firm belief and the belief that we have, of course, at Fannie Mae is I go back to observing the customer interacting with the product and making sure that you connect all the insights and trends that you find from the syndicated data from your own platform and connect the dots with how the consumer are sharing the passion and the different usage occasion. And that's where you can unveil potential trends before those trends are becoming, before you're too late to play with those trends, right? And so it's that constant check-in and with the final consumer that makes honestly a huge difference. Every one of us has access to a huge amount of data, and that could be the standard for everyone, but then it's how you really mix those data with what you know about your consumer and your product is going to make a really big difference.
Yeah, and I think you can kind of, for lack of a better term, like data yourself into a hole. Like it can be super overwhelming. And I think the important thing is that we're gleaning insights from it.
Yeah.
And I bet, especially being infused with such a culture that is chocolate, but not just chocolate, you know, the consumer culture, CPG culture. I, you know, as you were talking, we're talking about data. We're talking about insights from data. And then we kind of have to make that human to human connection and then understand the halo of brand and culture.
Mm-hmm.
So in thinking about Fannie Mae, how do you infuse brand into your digital ecosystems? How does that work from data insight to then understanding the culture and on down?
Yeah, I think no, Leah is a great bridge, and thanks a lot for this question. I think there are two interesting examples around Fannie Mae. American brand, again, 100 years of history here in the United States. Whoever is from Chicago is the #1 brand here and in the Midwest. And I think there are two examples out of the journey that we have done with Fannie Mae. One is the example of the launch of a new product, which is the s'mores snack mix that is now on fire literally in the market. And it's a product that has been the perfect example of how we have been able to marry a trend that was out there in the market, which is the one of indulgent consumption of snack occasion. And transform that with something that is inherited American, such as the consumption of s'mores, right? So by reading those two trends and combining those two opportunities, we came out with a product that now is a product that is beloved across the United States because it brings that element of nostalgia that we saw was a trend out there in the market, something that was rooted in the history of the brand. So you start from the brand, you start from the value proposition of the brand. You need to be true to what you stand for out there in the market, so your consumer interact and believe in you to become a love brand. And I think that is one example of product innovation that I feel is having a great success. I strongly suggest everyone to go and try it. You can find it near Costco or Sam's or Walmart, and you can enjoy that. The other element that I think that is super interesting for us has been the journey that we have done in the development of our e-commerce platform. So we are back finally with Fannie Mae to give the opportunity to the consumer to purchase directly on FannieMae.com our chocolate. And one element that we really wanted to do is to bring to the e-commerce platform the same feeling that our customer have been enjoying by walking physically into our own retail stores, which was the one of creating your own box of chocolate, right? Leah, maybe you have, I don't know, your sister or a friend, you know, they love more Meltaway than a Pixie. And sometimes, you know, the box of assorted chocolate, you have 2-3 items that you like, and maybe the balance sits there for a little bit. Creating and personalizing your own chocolate with that human touch is an experience that our customers are gravitating around our physical store for 100 years now. And we were very deliberate working with our agency, making sure that we could bring that similar experience on FannieMae.com. So one of those elements as a practical example is the journey that we have done in creating the user experience and the user interface on FannieMae.com, so that you go there and you feel like someone is almost serving you and showcasing you the different opportunity that you have to personalize your own box of chocolate. And so I think those two elements, what I see and I can highlight is the fact that we wanted to stay true to what the brand stands for. And what we know, customers have been gravitating around those brands, right? Being an American brand, but also having this human interaction, this craftsmanship, human touch that a physical store can provide to you, because it's that brand experience that you're immersed as soon as you walk into a store. And so I think those are two nice examples that I can think about in bridging everything that we have learned from what the brand stands for, but also from what consumer have been gravitating and have been very vocal in telling us what they like about and what's the reason to believe around Fannie Mae, and bring those two elements to the market through our e-commerce platform or through product innovation specifically.
That's really interesting that you're trying to blend. Are you guys getting feedback? I'm getting terrible feedback.
I'm going to put myself on mute in case.
Yeah. Okay. Much better. I sounded like a robot there. Super sorry, guys. That was terrifying. So Saverio, okay, thank you, Trevor. That sounded very creepy. I'm going to blame Mercury retrograde for all of you astrology fans out there. But you know, what Saverio was talking about was that, you know, Fannie Mae is trying to mirror and blend in a subtle way a physical experience and with the digital DTC Fannie Mae e-commerce experience, and we're trying to almost bring some hospitality to the digital experience while spanning those ecosystems. Gosh, so many questions after this. I also want to know. I have kind of two questions here. First. Really interesting, incredible journey. I want to know what your greatest lesson is in launching a DTC experience, and where you got that inspiration to blend the digital and physical, even though I may kind of infer it.
Yeah, no, great question. So I know I may sound redundant, right? But the customer and the final consumer was telling us what they're really looking for, and I think one component of your question is going into launching a new DTC. The biggest learning that I had is that you probably are never ready, right? And there is that feeling that is not good enough in the way you're promising the brand. But the element that is important that connects my journey there is that the only way to improve it, the experience, the user experience, the user interface, and all the nice things that we know working in the environment is that you need to give the chance to customer to experience your platform and to give you feedback, right? And so there is a moment in time in which you need to start to go there and physically watch your customers start to interact with the platform, understand what kind of connection they're doing, use the standard KPIs of those platforms to make sure that you are optimizing always. So truly you are always on, right? And so there is a moment in time in which you need to force the entire organization, the executive team in trusting the journey. You have to do your own work, right? Yeah, and I think every one of us do it in what you want, what you're trying. What is the reason to believe for a platform out there? Why customers should come to your platform and not somewhere else? But once that journey is done and you have the valuable data with market research, with consumer insight, and your brand has been out there and has been performing well, and you have been listening to your final consumer. It's about the leap of faith. You go out there, the system is ready, the platform is ready, the IT is ready, finance is ready, everyone is ready. You jump, you go, and you start to interact with your consumer. Your consumer are going to tell you immediately what it works, what it doesn't. And so far, it's been a fascinating journey. The platform is amazing and everyone is super excited about it. So that's my 2 cents on that journey. We have been very deliberate also with the agencies, what we wanted to achieve, and stand your ground. Sometimes technical difficulties are coming the way you are envisioning. The experience is not always possible in the way you want it, but if you define your pillars of how the bare minimum experience on your platform should be and what you want your customer to take out, then you start to build across that. And your agency, they grow with you. They experience something new. There are not many chocolate platform out there that provide the opportunity to customize your own box and ship it nationwide. So there's something that everyone is learning from this experience and this journey as well. That definitely we are learning also.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great answer, because there's no way that you could do it without collaboration. And I don't know, and this is what you said, and I'll just kind of say it in a different way, that whenever you're trying to innovate, when we're talking about innovation, when we're talking about customer engagement, you're really talking about doing something new, which is always scary. So whether it's a DTC site or something else, there is sometimes no roadmap. So you just kind of have to go for it and make the best educated guess you can. So, you may have said this, but two follow-up questions. What was your most proud moment? Whether it's part of, launching the DTC experience or growing Fannie Mae into the fastest growing premium brand. What was your proudest moment, and what was your most surprising moment?
So I think you probably answer a little bit of everything, right? So this brand, our proudest moment, I say our, me and my team, is to see a brand that was becoming more a niche, more enclosed in the Chicagoland area, but was beloved by customers that had the chance to interact across the United States for different reasons. Our most proud moment was giving the opportunity to this brand to expand back again and give this premium American chocolate, a platform and a national stage, and customers are gravitating around it, and is exciting. The most surprising moment, I think, was the success of some of the product innovation that we have had out there, because yes, you launch the product, you know that you are into something, but you don't really know how much customers love it or not. And the fact that we were overwhelmed by reaction and interaction on social media platform about how much people love some of the product and how much they are obsessed with it, and how much some of those micro influencer organically decide to take on the product and talk about it because they were so excited. That's always something that you think you're prepared, but it's always a nice surprise, right? But also another surprising element is that some of the things that we were doing, because we believed in the brand, was slightly not necessarily fully on trend, right? So an indulgent, rich chocolate experience may not be necessarily something that is in tune with the healthiest trend out there, but we have discovered the fact that customers are looking for that indulgence break, right? They're looking for the little break in which they can say, you know what, yes, I need the rich chocolate right now. And that was a little bit of a bet on something that we felt was out there, and it actually was overwhelmingly positive response out from the consumer and the market, because yes, that indulgence snack occasion was something that they were really looking forward, and we basically covered that gap that was missing in the market.
Oh, that's really interesting. So micro influencers picked up on that. That is incredibly surprising. And and maybe it's just my own personal concept of wellness is such a big deal. Oh, someone just said that they need to go pick up chocolate. That's hilarious.
Chocolate is always the answer, right?
Yeah.
Question, yeah.
For lack of being a cliche, I'm kind of with that. And we're just so for everybody who's with us, feel free to drop some questions in the Q&A chat as we're continuing to talk. I think we're going to answer some of those questions in just a little bit, but to my kind of final point on what you said, because of the wellness trends in the culture, it is interesting that that doesn't necessarily have to certainly be associated with incredibly healthy food, no fat. It can be an indulgence can be part of a wellness program. So I think that's an incredibly interesting insight into the culture. And you've grown up in, whether it's consumer goods or CPG or retail or whatever we want to categorize it as, you've kind of grown up here. I'm curious to know, outside of Ferrero, outside of Fannie Mae, what trends are you seeing industry-wide that get you excited, that you really like, that you're kind of betting on?
Yeah, and Leah, let me just build on a little bit on your last comment before telling you what I see out there, and I'm excited about it, and then also a little bit jealous sometimes, right, of some of those newcomers or new things that are coming. What we did with Fannie Mae is we didn't ignore this healthy trend out there. We decided to go with most of our chocolate being with no preservatives, no artificial color, no artificial flavors, And those are things that we can claim, and it's exciting for us to do so, right? So, but we did our way. We did, the chocolate indulgent way, because we know that our customer love that, and we can't get away from that component. So again, the trend, the insights out there in the market, but you blend it with the identity of your brand and the identity of your journey and the identity of what customer have been gravitating, right? If I completely change my brand identity to just go after a big trend out there, the risk is that I fall very short on the promise, on the reason why my brand and my product is out there in the first place, right? And then on your second question is, the beauty of the CPG environment, and even the chocolate industry and confectionery industry, is that those newcomers are bringing new ideas to the table, right? And while someone think that they may be too niche, or maybe there's not enough space for that specific product, the matter of fact is that some of those brands are having success because they really know what the customer are looking for, right? And they are almost embedded with those customers, and those customers are becoming ambassador for those brands to start with, right? And then the flywheel effect is there, and it moves. So all those new startup, or all those new innovation out there, and sometimes I'm jealous because I would like to be part of that journey as well, right? But that's another element that I like to infuse, and I talk about Fannie Mae as a 100 years old startup, right? And so, because that mindset of always exploring, always putting your best foot forward in innovations, that is really embedded in what your consumer is looking for. It's give an energy to the entire organization that is really a boost for creativity. It's a boost for ingenuity. It's a boost for precision in the execution, and it's an exciting component. So there are many brands out there that are doing it right, or I'm really following closely, and one of those is, for example, True Fruit. If you have seen it, this chocolate involved fruit, and it's a fun journey that they're doing. I had the chance to talk with their head of marketing as well, and it's one that I really enjoyed talking with. So many newcomers out there with great ideas, and we watch closely, and we are sure that they're gonna bring lots of good things for the consumer, and who loves chocolate in general out there in the US market.
Yeah, I'm just so excited that we get to sit down and talk about chocolate and inspiration for 40 minutes during the workday. This is great.
Yes, no, it's great.
So if you're okay with it, we're going to take some questions from the chat. And I think the first question here is, how involved are either you or Ferrero in the packaging design packaging design of either Fannie Mae or other products? How involved are you in that? And how does that fit in kind of a larger ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, packaging is everything really for us. The capability of, first of all, providing a fantastic unboxing experience. That's how we call it, right? Making sure that the wow effect, that wow moment continues to be there from the moment you take the box in your hands, but also you open the box, you unpack the product, is an element that is key, and is at the center of our journey at Ferrero. There's so much that we can do, and we will do, obviously, in that realm. But it's it's a key element of everything in CPG, specifically in the CPG world, the packaging. So fully involved. The objective for Fannie Mae has been always to premiumize, to give you that high premium feeling the moment in which you take the bags or the box in your hands, and even the fact that some of our confection are giftable to start with, right? We want to represent also the insights that we know that the customer wants to showcase how much they care about people by bringing something that really represents them and what they feel. So packaging is super important, right? Think about, Leah, you bring something that already from the get-go it doesn't feel so premium, right? You don't want to be represented by that package that maybe sits on the table of your friends and family for a little bit longer than the moment that you've been spending time with them, because that's your gift to them. So it's not only representing the brand, it's representing you at that moment. So we start from the packaging most of the time. We look at the packaging every time. We look at what customers are looking into the packaging to make their final decision about point of purchase, right? And so we are very attentive in making sure that those elements are unique. And one thing that definitely you can see and you can tell is that each and every Ferrero product is uniquely packaged. And you can think about the different brands. Think about the Ferrero Rocher, right? Such a unique packaging experience. Think about Nutella. The jar of the Nutella itself is iconic, right?
Right.
And that for someone is pure packaging. For us, was more than just that. But you can go on and on with all the other products. You can think about Tic Tac, right? You can think about the uniqueness of the Tic Tac.
I guess I didn't think of the portfolio of brand packaging together in that way. Would you say that that's a strategy, or that happened organically, or both?
No, it's again, and it's part of the culture of looking for highest quality in everything. Packaging is not left behind, and again, lots to do there. But
so a few more questions around the packaging that people have, and we have about 10 more minutes. So another question is how do you make decisions on the packaging? Do you do A/B testing or testing like in store?
Yeah, testing, consumer testing, panel, qualitative, quantitative. It depends really what's your objective is on out of the research that you are doing with the final consumer. But we had several moments in which we sit down or we put the different options in-house in the hands of our consumer, and we are receptive of their feedback. And you gotta be very focused on what you're looking for when you go in that direction. But yes, that's exactly what we do. Concept testing, obviously, as well. So it's every phase of the packaging development goes with a dedicated research touch point, so that by the time you launch it in the market, you have tested everything, right? And you can't forget how your packaging is important also for your B2B partner, right? So when we put our product on the shelf, that's another component that is important. It needs to also have an element that is innovative or helping or supporting your partner that are putting your product out there on the shelf, right? So you got to think about them as well. Think about the Walmart, the Costco, and all those other partners, Kroger, Albertson out there that needs to obviously leverage as easy as possible the replenishment of your product in and out of the shelves.
Got it. And one last question from this crew on packaging. Packaging
is a hot topic across our group, which is exciting.
Yeah, and it kind of always makes me think about that. I mean, I don't know if you have this, but a lot of folks in the industry and in the design industry remember the first time they opened up that iPod. Before the iPhone, that first unboxing with their first Apple product when Jobs came back. That for a lot of consumers out there was such a special moment. And I think we've been chasing that high ever since. And I know that that's such an important part of what a product is. So it makes sense that we're getting these questions. Yes. The last final question on packaging is, how much of a focus on sustainability and recycled material is part of the packaging strategy?
Yes, that's key. As a matter of fact, I invite everyone to go on the Ferrero website and learn about the trajectory of Ferrero in terms of sustainability and packaging. There are ambitious goals there to bring everything around that area to by 2025 to a way better sustainable approach. And so all the brands are involved in that journey. Is fascinating, it's exciting, it's the right thing to do. again, there's so much that we will be doing, we can do, but I think it's a fantastic thing that Ferrero is already focused and has an ambitious goal. And the full details are available on our website, and I invite everyone to go and learn more about our sustainability project there.
Last question from the panel, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. This is an interesting question. I'm so glad I can't see who asked this. What are the trends on content consumption that arose during the pandemic, as it relates to whether it's Fannie Mae, Ferrero, or just the industry in general? And what do you think will stay? So what are those trends, and what do you think will stick around?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. There's a question that we can discuss for a long time. Obviously, in terms of content consumption, that is not necessarily linked to the world of chocolate. We have the bigger changes. We have been spending more time at home. Obviously, we have been more attentive of our own personal health and how we can improve our habit, right? And that went from the content that we have been enjoying at home, much more of, for example, in our specific world, culinary recipe, right? Home cooking. How can I make my own recipe, right? So I think every one of us, I mean, at least I can say that we have seen that being an important component. And this is what we call in our world the agencies, right? So the agencies stories to your product that are not necessarily talking about your product, but are very relevant for your consumer base, because they are passionate about consumption of those products no matter what. And so this is something that we have watched very closely. And as a matter of fact, for example, with Fannie Mae, we have launched on our website a series of recipes on how to use our product and give it a shift for your dessert at home, right? So there are some recipes that are fantastic. And honestly, me and my wife at home are obsessed with some of those, in which you use your meltaways, or you can use the pumpkin pie spice pixie and enjoy a little bit of that. In terms of product consumption as a trend, I think that we have seen premium, high quality chocolate being consumed more during this pandemic. And the reason why is because we are more aware of what we are eating. We are more aware of what we are putting into our body. Pass me this term, Leah, and everyone that is listening to us. So we want to give ourselves the best. And so those little indulgences that are still affordable, but are a higher quality chocolate, it's something that we have seen. And it's something that probably is going to be here to stay, gladly so, because when Ferrero talks about product, talks about high premium quality product. And so we've seen more and more customers shifting into Ferrero products because they've recognized the quality of the chocolate that we've been able to put in the market. And this is exactly what they were looking for in this specific moment and challenging time for every one of us, obviously.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I when I asked the question, I didn't really make the tie between the cooking at home baking trend, which I forgot, but now it's so part of the culture. Of course, it stuck around because I still bake bread. So that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's here to stay.
Yes,
so
that's what we see. That's what we think. Obviously, again, it's impossible to predict the future. You can ask your customer to try to predict the future for you, but what the best thing that you can do is stay very close to them, see what they are enjoying in the moment, how they're leveraging your product, and sometimes the best way to predict the future is to invent it by yourself. Someone said, right? I don't know who I'm quoting right now, but it's as a matter of fact, it's a real thing, right? So your customer are telling you by interacting with the different products what's going to be next.
Yeah. Okay. So we have just a minute left, and I want to make sure we leave everyone with okay, if you did 3 things to either become customer obsessed yourself or increase your consumer engagement within your organization, what would those 3 things be?
Yes, so it's sad. Everyone is on recipe, right? Talking about home cooking, and every recipe is it's the right one for your brand. But I would say first and foremost, start from the consumer. and the type of problem that your product or service is solving for them. That's the starting point. You can go around that. Second point for me is be coherent, right? And consistent with your value proposition, your product value proposition. Again, I give the example of the snack mix. Yes, it's an indulgent snacking. It's American. Yeah, it has some healthy option because there's no preservatives, no artificial color, no artificial flavor. Last is don't ask necessarily your customer to tell you, but watch them interact with your product. Make sure that your market research is more in field market research, and make sure that you get your insights by watching them working with your product and enjoying your product.
Well, thank you so much for letting me moderate this, Saverio. I really appreciate it. This has been incredibly exciting.
You've been fantastic. Thanks a lot for your energy. Great chat with you. Thanks a lot.
Anytime.
Ryan, back to you.
Yeah. Thank you for an amazing conversation.